Daniel, it's you and I. How are you?
Good. I'm using the Kevin Weeks approach right now with the phone camera.
Hi there, NHL fans. Zoom on a Mac Air and a phone does not work. Daniel's in an odd setup right now. I don't know how this is going to sound. I don't know how this is going to look. But we're in Google Hangout right now, and we always use Zoom, but it's just a mess.
We're getting it
It's
done.
Yeah, we're getting it done. Alex isn't here. I don't know if I forget what. Why isn't? Is it? Does he have a Nighthawks thing? Is he hungover? Is it both?
Well, I don't know, because the one thing that made me laugh because I kept seeing the pictures of him and Mike.
Yeah.
That I assumed that Alex was gonna send us a message of him like, "Hey guys, sorry I won't be able to join you. I'm at the cottage right now."
He did. He did tell us. I just can't. I can't remember why. I can't remember if the Nighthawks are playing today. But
It's a busy guy.
busy guy, company man, top man. Anyway, I'll tell you who else is kind of busy right now. I bet John Cooper is putting a plan together to make sure his team's prepared for Game 3. We'll start with the Cup Final here, Daniel. And my goodness, Game 2, Tampa, Colorado. I don't think I've ever seen such a dominating performance in the Stanley Cup playoffs like I did with the Colorado Avalanche last night. Absolute insanity.
Yeah, for me, it was 3-0 early on, and I really assumed I didn't think anything of it. More so because the way we saw Game 1 go after
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
first period, that I just thought to myself, Tampa's gonna wake up. The shots are gonna come, and we're gonna have another close game. But that wasn't the case last night. Colorado just kept pouring it on, and they really limited Tampa when it came to the chances. Like, it was crazy.
It looked like there was a part in the second period where maybe Tampa were starting to get a bit of their legs under them, but then Colorado shut it down so easily. So many times we've seen Tampa sort of get their way back into games this playoffs. You mentioned Game 1, but you just look at any series really. But Colorado just said it's not happening. They put their foot down. I think that may have been Darcy Kemper's like easiest night of his career,
Yeah.
and in the finals of all places. First off, you're Colorado and you're going now to Tampa Bay. I think it's safe to say if you can get out with a split, you're going to be pretty happy here because 2-0 against Tampa Bay. Listen, it's not sacred. We saw what happened with the Rangers and all that, but still. Standout performances first off to Valeri Nich2shkin, who I can only imagine what kind of contract he's going to get at the end of this. Like, what is another pair of goals, great on the forecheck. Even going back to Game 1, he was the one who made that really smart play to send it to Burakovsky for the overtime winner. Lesser men, lesser players would have shot that puck, but the hockey IQ of that guy. I still remember back in the Dallas days when he went back to pretty sure he went back to KHL for it sometime.
Yeah, I believe St. Petersburg, yeah.
Which is funny. But he's just come back and he's completely reinvented his career. And Elliot Friedman did say last night, I think it was second intermission, he's going to be a priority for the Avalanche. But, that's a guy right now that you can see getting a Blake Coleman contract. You know what I mean? Like, if he gets 5 or, the Hyman type, I wouldn't be surprised because he's playing that well. And he's a 20-goal scorer, too, in the regular season. I just hit my headphones.
No, all right. For sure. I really agree with that one. And it's astounding for me because, and I'm probably one of those people that really did think that it was the cautionary tale of those high Russian draft picks, especially in the early 2010s, where Dallas did take a chance. They let him play right away, no training camp, and a solid rookie season. He didn't really get there again in terms of the production with Dallas. He goes back to the KHL, comes back, tries to do something, then he gets bought out. And the way Colorado's been able to really build him up, I think, and it's just my opinion, that he's just one of those guys that, and it's for his own sake as well, and he saw it, I think, is he needed the time to develop. He was 6'4" coming into the draft, skinny guy, but he didn't want to play in the AHL. And you see how it is now. He filled into that frame. He became more responsible, and he didn't have to be that guy, that high draft pick anymore, that he just really fit into the Avs lineup perfectly.
I didn't know he was that tall anyway. Right now he's noted 6'4", 210. That's according to Hockey DB. But, there's also a thing where an organization is going to get a reputation for giving guys other chances and being able to build them back up. And that's precisely what they've done with Valeri Nich2shkin. It's just I hate the fact that they have him. They have Arturi Lehkonen down there too. Like we know they're gonna lose guys. I think it's at least 9 free agents. I think only 2 or 3 of them are RFAs. Val's one of those UFAs, but the fact that they could retain him and then they'd probably be able to retain Arturi Lehkonen for at least another season. It's sickening. It's very sickening to look at. But like just going back to Tampa Bay, so that was, did you see Andre Vasilevsky's 100th career game in the playoffs? And it's only the second time, I believe, in his career he's allowed 7 goals. And apparently the last time it happened was against the Arizona Coyotes. And Steve Dangle had a marvelous tweet.
Yeah.
Don't know if you saw this.
Yeah.
The reason, he said, paraphrasing here, the reason you don't remember Vasilevsky having 7 passes against the Arizona Coyotes is because that was the same night that the Leafs lost to David Ayres. So 10 out of 10 tweet there from Steve Dangle.
I love it.
Yeah, and what's great about what the Avs are doing right now is, besides the fact that, by the way, I think this is just further evidence that Sam Girard's probably going to get traded because they're doing this without him, and Bowen Byram's, of course, emerging. Doing this without Nazem Kadri, too. And listen, Braden Point's come back, and he's looking better each game, but I think he's still finally probably getting up to speed. He looked good last night, I thought, in the brief chances Tampa got, at least. But without Kadri, too, this is so impressive from the Avs. It's we talk about next man up mentality a lot, and they're just sort of personifying that to a T right now.
Yeah, we always talk about Tampa's way of the last few years having the next man up, but Colorado, the way they've been able to get things out of their top 9 guys, bottom 6 guys, everybody's kind of contributing here and there. It's really great. You see beyond that top line we saw with them before, like, you know, Gabriel Landeskog's playing out of position right now, and they're still being able to do all of this. That, for me, it's still surprising that he's the one taking a lot of the faceoffs, and he's winning a lot of them.
You know what? Landeskog's always been one of those guys where I don't think a lot of people really appreciate how good he is. And another good thing from this playoffs, I mean, people are realizing as well, is just how good Mikko Rantanen is. You know, I've been a big fan of his for a long time, and I thought he had a hell of a game. It was. Well, the funny part is when the goals started to pile on when the game was lost. That was when Makar and those big guys started getting on the board. The early parts of the game were the depth guys. So, like, what I think is, at first, a lot of us were talking about the Rangers' speed sort of being a little difficult for the Tampa Bay Lightning to keep up and not being able to slow the game down. The worst thing you want against Colorado is having, you know, lots of rush chances. But the thing is, slowing down the Rangers compared to the Colorado Avalanche is so much different. It really feels like Tampa are overwhelmed right now. Because it feels impossible to actually stop Colorado's rush. Because the way they move the puck, I never shut up about this. Like, their power play, they're great with the one-touch passes. Like, that Makar goal, I want to say it was the second one. The tic-tac-toe play was amazing. How quickly they get it up from one side of the ice to the other. I like, that's the future of where the game is going, right? There's playing fast and being a great transition team, and then there's the Avs. They're another level, honestly. I love it so much.
Yeah, I agree.
By the way, great.
Yeah, great guy, of course. Hopefully a friend of the show one day. But I agree with you that I understand that, you know, there's the wear and tear of things. We'll get to it. Like, Victor Hedman is clearly hurting out there, but the way the Avalanche have been able to just get into the offensive zone, the number of breakaways we saw against them, especially against that defensive core, that's something that I didn't see happening. I thought maybe the Rangers would have more of an opportunity for that, but the Avalanche, I think there's a whole nother level when it comes to that transition game, and being able to just kind of lay it onto the Lightning, and which is funny to me in a way, because that's how the Lightning did kind of show it for themselves against, like, I saw against the Leafs, I saw against the Panthers, where they just never let up, and I'm seeing Colorado do the exact same right now.
Now, we say all this, but I think we should make it very clear, and I tweeted this. The people counting out the Tampa Bay Lightning last night are don't do it. Stop it. This is a team where if there's any squad, and people were saying, you know what, this isn't the Dallas Stars, these aren't the Montreal Canadiens. Let's not forget that, you know, the Tampa Bay Lightning have gone through some real juggernauts in the East before. Like, let's not forget about the battles they had with the Islanders and that, and how they've been a nuisance at points to teams like Carolina and that. This is a good team. and there's a reason they're back-to-back champs. I hate when people put asterisks on championships, like people are doing to the Golden State Warriors right now.
Yeah.
I'll talk about that a little later. But what's the saying? You're never in trouble until you lose at home. I don't need to tell you what's going to go wrong if the Avs win Game 3, obviously. But listen, if you can draw even at home, it's a completely different series. Like the worst thing is like Tampa cannot lose any of these home games because the worst scenario. Let's say you win Game 3, but then Colorado take Game 4. You can't go the Ball Arena down with the Avs having a chance to clinch. And I wanted to mention Ball Arena here because they have really emerged as a great arena.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, I watch a lot of Avs games, whenever the Habs aren't playing. A few of the things I wanted to mention. First off, I've always loved the Mario power-up sound effect when they kill off penalties. The woo-woo after all the goals. I forget the song they sing.
All That's Small Things. Blink-182.
Blink-182. I'd never heard of them until
Really?
that song. Yeah, no, it is. Daniel, they're not Japanese, so I don't listen to them.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Okay.
But they have. Listen, I've been very critical of the Tampa fans before in that arena of Amalie being very quiet. They've got a real barn burner, to go up against.
I thought you said they have a real Baumgartner. I'm like, did I hear that right?
They wish they were as good as Alex Baumgartner, but they're not.
Of course, yeah.
But he's not rooting for Tampa either right now. So.
No.
But yeah, they're a great arena, man.
They are. I love the energy that's there. I think it's just kind of, for me, they're just expressing what they've been holding for so long these past few years, throughout the playoff disappointments, throughout the bubbles, throughout everything. That this is an Avs team that they were always expected to be here, and I think the fans felt the same way.
So, was it 2017 they were last?
Yeah.
Does that not feel like forever ago?
That was crazy, because I remember I thought they were going to win the lottery. Well, I mean, in a way, they still won the lottery in hindsight. They got Cale Makar, but I was surprised when they dropped in the draft because I thought they were getting number one.
Joe Sakic really looked like he wanted to die when that lottery happened. Is Cale Makar a top 3 player in the world?
Ooh.
I think he's really cemented himself. First off, he surpassed McKinnon as the best player on the Avs. That's been made very clear. But is he at that level has he entered the McDavid Matthews conference? Different position, but is he the McDavid Matthews? Has he joined them in the top 3 in the league?
Oh, I'd say he's number 4.
Behind?
I think it's still, and I know we said about it before, but I think right now it's still McDavid.
Yeah.
Matthews.
Okay.
Crosby.
Oh, okay.
Cale Makar.
Oh, wow. Oh, so we're still giving credit to Sid, eh?
Yes. We have to. That's the trademark of this podcast.
It's true. It's not me saying it. It's Daniel. But yeah. Also, Vasilevsky has had back-to-back rough starts. Were you surprised that John Cooper kept him in?
Yeah, I think by the time it was, I think the 10 minute, I remember I wrote it down, 10 minutes, 41 seconds. I think that was the 6th goal. I really felt that, you're not coming back in this game. If he's going to be frustrated, let him be frustrated. But, you don't want to exert this guy in, I guess, the state of mind he's in right now. He just got bombarded by the Avalanche. Like, it wouldn't hurt to just see Brian Elliott just play cleanup at that point, because you're not coming back.
I always love when you see the super starters and then you kind of forget who their backup is, and you're like, oh yeah, Brian Elliott, who looks ancient. He looks 50. It's incredible that he's still you have to be a really good guy to be a backup. So I imagine Brian Elliott's like that. But yeah, I didn't love it. But I don't think it was Vasilevsky. Listen, he wasn't the only reason they lost. Like, as I tweeted, the bombardment, the force of Colorado's offense is like an avalanche. The boards and all that. And another thing I wanted to mention, by the way, is, there have been, I want to say it was to start the St. Louis series. I had the question of, are Colorado going to feel rusty? Right? And then they came out all guns blazing in that series. And even especially to start game 1, 2, and Bennington was the only sort of deciding factor. And then once he went down, the Blues just didn't stand a chance. I still think they would have won, even if like, I don't think Bennington was going to steal the entire series. But
No.
then after sweeping Edmonton, I think we all wondered the same thing. Even if the Tampa Bay Lightning are notoriously bad to start every series so far, but it really feels like they've learned from previous series, the Avs, and mentally, I think, are more prepared than anyone we've ever seen play the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah, I think
That's
a big lesson for them, I think, is we saw not from this year because we saw that they weren't really, I guess, challenged from a world-class goalie up until this point. But we have to remember also they lost against Anton Khudobin, who got really hot, and they weren't able to solve him. And I think they took that lesson now, and they're approaching it in a different way. They look like a different team. They look like the team that's not letting up, and they've just been able to find the angles on Vasilevsky. That's really something that I know it's the chances as well, but that's something that I didn't see other teams take advantage of.
I don't know if it's just me, but it feels like a lot of the time, some of those early goals that were a lot of odd-man rushes, a lot of the Abs weren't looking for passes. They were shooting. Josh Manson was that obviously
Noted sniper
as well. Yeah, Josh Manson, noted sniper, by the way. But I felt like the Abs they've not been afraid to shoot on Vasilevsky instead of looking for the extra pass to try and make an odd man sort of opportunity, but sorry, you know what I mean. Like on the odd man rush, they're not afraid to take the shot. Daniel, I actually want to turn back the clock and go back to the Edmonton Oilers for a second here, the team that Colorado beat to get to the finals. For the third straight episode, let's clarify Duncan Keith. So originally, and Puckpedia seemed to have agreed, like was the one who first put it out there, saying that the Oilers should be getting a cap bonus for the Duncan Keith contract if he does retire. Bill Daly then said apparently they don't, and I haven't seen any real reasoning as to why they wouldn't. So I'm kind of wondering if Edmonton are getting shafted. Also, apparently they're nearing a 3-year extension with Jay Woodcroft.
Oh, okay.
I don't get what was happening there. That was weird.
They were toning down the headlines about the Duncan Keith recapture bonus, so they saw that we were talking about it. They're like, no, we don't want these guys to have another story. That's too scandalous for the NHL, so we're not going to do it. But
I'm not talking about it anymore either because I feel like an idiot.
No, it's fine. We made a mistake collectively.
We didn't make a mistake. NHL made the mistake.
That's true.
So get it right, NHL. Get it right, NHL. Beside that, Woodcroft coming back. I'm interested to see when they get Dave Manson done. That'll be interesting. I guess next we can go to. Are you excited for the Memorial Cup? Do you normally watch it or no?
Yeah, I watched the Memorial Cup. I laughed at it because I actually tried to go to the Hamilton Bulldogs game for Game 7, but my schedule didn't work out because I really wanted to see Mason McTavish. And I said, it's okay, I'll just see him at the Memorial Cup. And then I realized it's in St. John's.
So maybe not.
Probably not. We're not going to make it. Because I saw the ticket prices at first. I'm like, oh, this is very affordable. Until I realized how far it is.
Exactly. So it's going to be, I think it's the Cataracts from the Q, the Bulldogs from the O, the Oil Kings from the Dub, and then, of course, the Sea Dogs are your host. So you're rooting for McTavish. I'm obviously okay with either Edmonton or Hamilton because, of course, Hamilton has Arbor Jackeye, and it has our favorite Jan Mysak. Of course, everyone loves him. And, of course, Edmonton have Caden Gooley, who has the most goals by a Oilers defenseman, or Oil King defenseman, sorry, in WHL playoff history. So that should be exciting.
So for the Bulldogs against the Oil Kings, you just want everybody to have fun.
I'd prefer goalie, to be honest, but I'll
really?
Just goalie, just don't take anyone out is my one thing.
I actually thought you would go for the Bulldogs because of their history as a former AHL team with the Habs.
Oh yeah, because that's very true. No, I don't really. Not really. No? Shout out to Laval losing in Game 7 of the conference finals and just didn't show up except for Caden Prebo. But yeah, look out for the Memorial Cup that is coming up soon. I'm just trying to find the exact start date here.
We'll get Alex's pick for it next episode.
Exactly. I believe it is June. Is this the 20th to the 29th? Oh, so it starts tomorrow.
All right.
It's always weird because it's the round robin and then the bye. It's fun to always watch, but the tournament it's unique. It's unique. Not the torts. The Flyers have made it official with John Tortorella. It's a 4-year deal, $4 million per year. He's the new head coach. Did you see Brandon Dubinsky's tweet?
Yes, and it's a funny coincidence because there was a few articles I remember when I was going through, and I look at them recently on The Athletic about a few things: what it meant to play in Columbus, what it meant to play under John Tortorella, and the whole Brian Dubinsky situation with John Tortorella. So this kind of comes full circle right now. We are thinking, how's this going to affect Cam Atkinson? But maybe this is something the Philly thinks that what they want for at least a year or two. I know it's a 4-year deal, but they're going in a different direction now.
Okay, I always thought he liked Tortorella though. Atkinson.
Yes, I always thought that too. So that's why I didn't. I don't know. It just I don't know how the way people are viewing it because I did view him as one of those top 6 guys that he got more of an opportunity because he was a Torts guy. Like he showed the effort.
Well, he had his best. Didn't he have like a 30-goal campaign under Tortorella one year? Or
yeah, he was like an all-star twice. Yeah,
that's weird. I always thought he was a big. I know people were going on about that Werenski, the Werenski back and forth on Instagram, but I didn't think much of that to be honest. But I don't know. But I'm sure if there is something gone wrong, they're going to talk about it. But I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited. For those of you who didn't see, it was Dubinsky basically saying, "Pray for the Flyers players," because. Tortorella. He's a demanding coach. But
I like to say that when Brian Dubinsky got traded to Columbus and then they eventually got John Tortorella, I always thought that would be a perfect match in a way because he plays the Tortorella style. It's just, I think with the injuries, with the minutes and everything, it just didn't work out for some reason.
Mm-hmm. I was going to mention the Kuzmenko stuff, but I think we can just wait until where he decides to sign. Chris Johnson did say on Insider Trading, the tour's done, so it's going to be in the next week or two. A decision will come. I bet he ends up in Vancouver because that's or maybe that's just in Canada. We've been focusing on his time in Vancouver more than anyone else, but yeah. Other stuff, Barry Trotz. This is from Pierre LeBrun. He's going to make his decision around July 1st is where he's going to go. He has chatted with Nashville about a management role, and he's bought a house in Nashville, apparently. But he is meeting again with Winnipeg next week. Originally, I also saw that from Darren Dreger. So that's a little update there. Also want to give a shout-out to the HDA, the old Hockey Diversity Alliance here. I'm going to read a quick tweet they have here. We are excited to share our grassroots program in Grassroots program is up and running in Toronto. HCA ball hockey skills is for boys and girls between ages 6 to 15 who want the opportunity to play ball hockey and are not playing in an organized league. We always talk about growing the game at a grassroots level, and it's good to see the HCA doing that. Another good thing from them.
Yeah, I really liked it. It's pretty funny. I'm trying to actually do this for a story for my other job now. And it is interesting that they're doing a lot of these grassroots things, especially in Toronto right now, where I saw a lot of things opening up downtown that there's just a bit more of an opportunity to have these types of things now. I know that COVID's still a thing, but they're making it work. And I like that focus on kids that never had the opportunity to play because we've said it so many times, hockey is not attainable for everybody. No. The cost, the commitment, the practices, the distances in between games, that's something that really always astounded me. And I'm happy that it is a start to let these kids experience the game because we're always about growth.
Mm-hmm, exactly. Here's some news that's a little... I didn't realize in how sort of bleak this was until I saw some stuff that Richard Coffey was retweeting in that. So, former Tennessee Governor Bill Haslam, could be saying it wrong, is said to gradually buy the NHL's Nashville Predators. So I don't think it's quite all official yet, but I think it was discussed at the Board of Governors meeting. Now, the reason it's not great is, from what I understand, this guy is not a supporter of same-sex marriage, hasn't been very friendly to the LGBT community and all that. And I've looked at some of his other stuff. He seems to flip on a lot of stuff like gun control and that before. Typical politician, to be honest with you. And it's really the real shame here is, do you remember who's a Nashville Predator or is within the organization and is going to the Memorial Cup? I'm pretty sure. Luke Prokop, the only openly gay player in like NHL atmosphere. So, listen, I'm sure sometimes what you advocate politically isn't always what you always believe in, party loyalships and all that. And I'm not super familiar with the guy. This is just the research I've seen. But it's still not great for the league. And we talked about stuff like this and being a friendly environment in the game. And I beside the fact that his brother, I think, owns the Cleveland Browns, and I don't think he's a great owner himself. Well, listen, I hope his political beliefs are... I hope he's a bit more open-minded, is what I'll say. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand. This is definitely something I think we're going to keep looking at to see what's going to happen with this. But it's just weird to see because we're from Nashville. But I think, like...
We're not from Nashville. Nashville.
Yes, given that area, it is more of a conservative state.
Yeah.
Tennessee, so we'll see.
Well, we'll see, man. We'll see. I just listen. Just be. I don't know what to say. I don't know what else to say. Bit of a difficult sort of straight turn here, but is Steph Curry top 10 all time? Chip number 4, Finals
Top
MVP
10
finally.
Yeah, I say top 10, like not like the top of the top 10, but he is in the top 10.
He's no MJ. He's not LeBron. Is he a better point guard than Magic?
So that's difficult because they play different styles.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of crazy because Magic Johnson, and I'm not saying it's gonna sound like I watched it, but I wasn't even born when he retired. But he was more of like the phenom early on in his career, and he was already one of the best coming out of college, and he dominated early in his career because it was the young Magic Johnson and the veteran Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for the Showtime Lakers. And then
that's a pretty good pair.
Yeah, and then they got James Worthy in the draft too. So they had 3 Hall of Famers, and they dominated early in his career, and then he retired unexpectedly when he got AIDS. But Steph Curry is the opposite, where he was a bit of a reach in the draft, even though he went 7th, and he was injured for many years before Golden State got everything together for those championship runs. Like, he was drafted 2009. He wasn't considered like one of the best players until like 5 years later when he finally got healthy.
I know there's more of a political sort of how Magic helped the game back in the day. But and helped really grow. Obviously, it was the baton from like him and I think it was the baton from him and Larry Bird went to Michael, and then Michael was just the sort of, oh my god, look at this shooting star, basically. But I think Steph has helped revolutionize the game in the more modern ways in the 3-point shooting. Like, he's a social media phenom in a way. Like, you see what he does in warm up and that. The guy is just different. You remember how like in high school people would like shoot garbage into cans? They'd say Kobe. What I do is like I'll get an empty can and I'll be like Curry for 3, and I never shoot it into the can because I'm horrible. But I'm happy for him. I'm happy he does. Kevin Durant. If I may for a moment here, do my best Stephen A. bit as I button up a part of my flannel, the flannel I wear every time we record because I'm hot because it's summer basically. I don't think it's officially summer, but Kevin Durant joined the Warriors because he couldn't beat them. Those young Thunder couldn't get it done. Doesn't drive the bus. Leaves because he wasn't loved there. He wasn't Steph. He wasn't Clay. He was KD. Goes to the Brooklyn Nets. Leaves Draymond, all those guys for Kyrie Irving. And then what happens? all the drama with the big three once James showed up. Bill Simmons hasn't played. Ben Simmons, sorry, not Bill, Ben. I confuse his name because he doesn't play, so I just forget about it. Obviously, show up to work.
The shade.
And then, what happens? They get swept by the Boston Celtics. And the team that swept you lost to the team you left. Kevin Durant. Where is your legacy? That's it.
I love it.
Kyrie betrayed you. Anyway.
It is interesting. I think the Warriors, the way I see it is they built through the draft with a lot of their guys. They were very smart with their signings. And what we saw again is Andrew Wiggins was probably one of the biggest acquisition they got. He was a reclamation prize as well.
I was about to say the signature phrase of the show, reclamation project.
Yeah, and they restocked it through the draft again. Like Jordan Poole, Jonathan Kuminga. James Wiseman didn't play, but he's another guy that's going to be a piece for the future. And it's people are saying, they're a dynasty team, it's unfair, but they didn't go out and just sign everybody. They kept the core intact, and they just kept adding to it. What I like about it is that they had the willingness to, and I'm going to compare it to the Raptors. They had the willingness to develop these guys, not just give up on them so quickly.
Exactly. Patience and development is not a straight line.
There were those dark years when after they lost to the Raptors, everyone was saying, just trade everybody now. This is just Steph Curry and Klay Thompson's out for 2 years.
And listen, Klay may be cooked. I think he's a low cooked. We love Klay, but low cooked. But man, they did it. Love Draymond. I love Draymond so much.
Is a personality you wish you had in the NHL sometimes?
Oh, 100%. I don't know how many people can hold a candle to Draymond, but that man is a TNT. Have a spot ready for him whenever Chuck or Kenny retire.
I have something funny to say too. It made me laugh because it was a criticism of him, but it's something that I think as us doing a podcast, I appreciated. He even during the finals, after a bad loss, he still did his podcast.
Okay, and I saw people get mad about that, and then people obviously mention, Michael Jordan at the casinos late. Famously, Dennis Rodman didn't practice because he was doing WCW stuff.
WCW, yeah.
So, shut up. I love that. He wasn't playing well, obviously, in the finals until near the end of it, which didn't help, but they still won. Still won. He was close to. You ever seen those? I forget their names are, but these guys who do locker rooms after Game 7 skits, and they do LeBron after coming back again. So we're like, Kevin Love, you had no points. I had 18 rebounds. I don't care. Give me your ring. Kyrie, you hooping. You keep your ring.
Are the Golden State Warriors?
You were average. You hit a jump shot and 2 threes. You keep your ring. Love.
Are the Golden State Warriors the Tampa Bay Lightning?
Well, they didn't win 3 straight, did they? No,
they won 1, lost in the finals, and then they won 2 in a row, lost to the finals, and then a few years later won this one.
I don't know. I think it's more our Tampa Golden State because I think Golden State have been more. They had more chips, right?
Yeah.
I think they're pretty similar overall. Yeah, I think you could say, but I think Tampa have to win. Because here's the thing, we talk so much about the greatness of Tampa. They're still going to be a great team, but if they don't beat Colorado, it definitely damages them. Because we were going to put them in mythical status, right?
Yeah.
But if they lose this, then I think they get brought down a little bit. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's because so much is talked about with legacy in the NBA the last couple of years. It's such a big talk, and obviously, Golden State win. Kevin Durant's legacy is cooked, right? I think we need to talk about legacy a bit more in hockey. So if they don't win, they're obviously still a great team, maybe the greatest of the Cap era. But if they can't win the 3rd straight, I don't think we can put them with the Islanders, Oilers, and Canadiens of the 70s to 80s. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I think Golden State's a good thing to mention, though.
Yeah.
Golden State aren't a dynasty. They didn't win 3 straight.
I have a funny thing. Is Pat Maroon a dynasty?
Single-headed yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. When they retire, Patrick Maroon should be the next guy to travel with the cup and take care of it.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
and Corey Perry's the anti-dynasty. Poor guy. Imagine if he loses a fourth straight final. I would retire. I'd be like, okay, that's enough. That's enough. That too much heartbreak.
I know people are saying there's a Corey Perry curse, but remember 2007.
That's true. He has one. He has one.
Yes.
I had this little thing from David Pagnotta here, the man, the myth, the legend.
Great name.
And he basically said on NHL Network, you're probably looking at $3 to $4 million for him on a 3 or 4 year contract. If the Leafs lose out on Campbell, he's going to be a target of them. I don't think anyone's really surprised to hear that. And we talked about the goalie market. I think it's pretty fair to say that, listen, because we don't know what's going on with Marc-Andre Fleury, but, what's Husso, 26 or 27? I think he's 27.
Mm-hmm.
I would almost prefer if you could guarantee it. Obviously, free agency, you might be outbid. Maybe Edmonton's going to be in there. But if there's a guy I'd rather take a risk on, honestly, I'd rather bet on Husso than Campbell for the sole reason of Husso's younger, and I don't think has the injury history. But they're both like barely established. You know what I mean? Like Campbell's just starting to get a bit of a resume, and Husso had like one good year and wasn't great in the playoffs. But considering what there is available, I think Husso's probably the best goalie you can get.
I have a fun fact about Ville Husso.
Sure.
When he was drafted in the 4th round, he was originally the Leafs' 4th round pick.
Really?
He was traded. They traded Carl Gunnarsson and that pick for Roman Polak.
That's pretty neat when you think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, Roman Polak's like, well,
the guy that I remember there was that race, between who was gonna always come back or stay the longest, Roman Polak or Martin Marincin.
And Marty won the race.
He did.
Somehow he won the race. Okay, but I wish Alex was here so we get his take on Husso. But I mean, I wonder who the second goalie is.
Yeah, I think the Leafs are going to be aggressive with it. I don't know. Like the Jack Campbell era was fun. It was great. It's just, it's not, in my opinion, it's not going to be. I'm afraid to see what it's going to look like if they gave him a long-term deal and you still see these injury problems happen, or they just don't have a good 1B guy behind him because Mrazek's not it.
What doesn't help Campbell's case for getting a long-term deal, from the Leafs at least, because free agency is a wild place, right? New Jersey and Buffalo are saying hello there. But what doesn't help is because he had such a great start to the year, but then that middle stretch was just like playing with that rib injury. It's just sort of like, okay, well, it's ammunition for the people who don't believe, like, he can't stay healthy and that. And then obviously those affected his numbers in the new year. And then you're like, well, what exactly is he? And then he's a strange goaltender. He's a strange goaltender. Obviously, me and thoughts with goaltending, right? It's just, I like Campbell. He's just not enough. He's just not enough. But unfortunately, you can't make, you can't turn 50 cents into $1 million. That was really bad. But you can't, if the goaltender's not available, well, then what else can you do, right? Going to the Habs, big deal. Yeah, oh my God, this is such a big story, and we're just going to do it now. Shea Weber's been traded. The captain is gone. He had a nice little statement. It was short, it was brief, but that was Shea Weber.
It was
right?
very Shea Weber, yes. Reading it.
Yeah. Still hasn't officially retired because obviously he wants those few $1 million in the cap recapture stuff. May affect other teams, right? But Shea Weber, before we get to the trade itself, great captain. I was critical of him this year, but hey, it was good to have
era.
The Shea Weber era. It feels longer than it really was because it was 2017 to last year, really. He was a good captain. Seems like the guys loved him. I think he's a Hall of Famer, in my opinion.
I think so.
Just doesn't have the resume, unfortunately, to be like top out. It's a shame he never won a Norris Trophy, eh?
That so surprised me because he was always up there. He was always a candidate when Duncan Keith was winning them.
He's like, Shea Weber is like one of the most consistent D ever, in my opinion. Like the guy is just a pure force. Like I compared him in my video to Dustin Byfuglien, that there were a few physical specimens that the league has ever had. That's just because they're such a dying breed now, quite like Shea Weber. But I'm gonna miss him. He was a joy to watch. The guy could just flatten you anywhere in the shot. All right, the shot's famous, but He gets sent to Vegas. They're going to obviously use him for LTIR. And then, of course, in exchange, Montreal get Evgeny Dodonov. First off, I just want to find this thing to do with LTIR because I think I was a little confused about this. Because I thought originally that Vegas were going to need the $7.8 million cap hit that Weber has. And I thought maybe they were going to need that room to initially update him. Now, this is what Cap Friendly tweeted. To clear up a common misconception, a team does not need to be below the upper limit to start the season on LTIR. They can use the LTIR training camp equation on the day prior to the season start and place players on LTIR while already above the limit. Which I think basically means it's a loophole at the start of the season rather than at the trade deadline, which I think you would then need the room at that point, which is what Vegas were trying to get away with. And then the other way, Montreal get Evgeny Dodonov, as I mentioned, who, I mean, let's be honest, he's probably going to get them a pick at the deadline, for being honest.
Probably.
Get a second if he pops off too much. But the Canadians wanted to clear cap space, obviously. Jeff Petrie is still probably going to get moved, but conversation for another day. But what do you make of this for Vegas? Because forget the real money, because it's like Vegas basically are paying, when it comes to real dollars in Weber's contract, are actually paying less on this 4-year deal than Evgeny Dodonov has on now. I don't really think Vegas are too concerned with the cash. But let me ask you this, because the implications of this is they will now be working in LTIR for basically the next 4 years, at least. Which is never a fun spot to be in, but it's one they are choosing to go with. What do you think of that?
I think that it's just the Vegas mentality that's never changed, that they're in it to win it every year, and don't worry about the future, because we mentioned last episode that who are their draft picks. I mentioned Zachary Dean. I mentioned really just him, and I don't think Vegas is really concerned about it in terms of the money, in terms of what things are going to look like in the next few years, because they are just doing whatever they can to just win it right now, especially the way that roster is built. So they're going to pay it, but it's just let's allow future management to think about what are we going to deal with this.
That sounds very Vegas, to be honest. And just to clarify what I mean exactly about real money, this is from Jesse Granger of The Athletic on Twitter. Vegas owner Bill Foley essentially agreeing to pay $6 million of Weber's remaining deal to buy cap space by unloading Evgeny Dodonov's $5 million cap hit. Because obviously Weber has, the cap hit's like 7.8 for another 4 years. Because it's an illegal contract pre-CBA, like 2 CBAs ago. There's not a lot of real cash being paid out there. I think it's like less than $3 million for the last few years.
I'd like to mention, by the way, fun fact, this contract was originally given by the Philadelphia Flyers to Shea Weber.
Yeah, it was the offer sheet, yeah.
Yes, and it was matched by Nashville.
Yes, it's if you like just take it's like $100 million. Eh? It is. I remember a few days before the Weber Subban trade, it was the first time I really actually took a look at a contract, and I remember thinking, this is how in the world does a player get this kind of deal? And then I remember when he was traded, my first thought was, this has 9 years on it. Oh my God, what are the Canadians thinking? And I just wanted to read a little snippet from an Arpin Basu article from The Athletic here. And this is why sort of the deal makes sense and how the Canadians were able to do this without giving up an asset rather than, in fact, getting a middle six scoring winger that they can then flip for an asset. Quote, somehow the Canadians found a team more desperate to make this trade than they were. Because though the Canadians didn't have the same immediate urgency to make this trade as the Vegas Golden Knights, make no mistake, this was a desperately needed move for the Canadians. And the reason for anyone wondering why it's really important is if Carey Price can't play, it's not just Shea Weber's $7.8 million on LTIR, it's also Carey Price's $10.5. So that's about $18 million in cap space the Canadians are going to be on LTIR, which means they won't be able to accrue cap space in the regular season. Not to mention, because they are a younger team, they already have a cap penalty next year to do with Jordan Harris, Caulfield, and I think Suzuki's contract bonuses taking place. Whoever the first overall pick is going to have one there. So it's important that they have that sort of buffer room. But Daniel, that is everything. Sorry if this just looks weird as an episode and it sounds weird. It was a mess. We're sorry.
But we got through it.
We got through it.
Yes.
We're
resilient.
For Alex having to edit this.
We're the Draymond Greens of hockey podcasts. We get it done no matter what.
Fair enough. Okay. We're gonna figure out how in the world we're supposed to export this now. But thank you for listening. Check out the link for all the links required. Who's gonna win the Canadian Grand Prix?
Nicholas Latifi.
That's not gonna. You see, he hit a groundhog.
I saw.
That was sad. I hope Carlos wins, but it looks like Max is raced to lose. If it was wet, I'd say Fernando has a chance, but I don't know what the weather's like. But
my boy Max.
You Max?
Well, Valtteri Bottas. I don't know.
I know Bottas isn't gonna win the race. All right, thank you for listening. Have a good one.
Bye, guys.